Hello all, my name is Piotr and I build Ru guitars. I'm still working on inlays. I am planning on filling the fretboard with the resin today, and I was thinking of the best way to do that. I did some tests on how to pour the resin to avoid bubbles. Then I tried to fix the bubbles with a thin layer of epoxy on top. I'll get to this in a minute, but one thing that Adam suggested, thank you Adam so much for that, I don't know why I didn't think about that, is a vacuum chamber used to pull the bubbles out of the resin, because the bubbles have the same pressure that the air outside, and if you put resin with bubbles inside into a vacuum chamber, it brings them up. I don't have a vacuum chamber, I don't even have a vacuum pump. What I do have though is a storage vacuum bag, which I think will be perfect for this purpose, because I don't think I need like a perfect vacuum or anything anywhere close perfect vacuum. All I need is a lower pressure than the atmospheric pressure. So I'm going to try doing this, and well, we'll see what happens. I have only one chance to do it right, so I will use the bag twice. First time to pull the bubbles out of the mixture when it's freshly mixed, and then when I pour it into the fretboard, I have this. Those are parts of racking system, doesn't matter. What does matter is that they would hold the fretboard inside perfectly. And I can stick it with a masking tape and super glue, and then close it from top, so that when I place it all in the vacuum bag, the bag won't touch the resin, so it will suck all the air out of the, well, not all, but some air out of the bag and out of this chamber, and hopefully we'll get rid of all the bubbles. We'll see. But before all that, I have another pour that I did. This time I followed instructions on the bottle, so I stirred it clockwise for 4 minutes, and then I let it sit for another 2, and hopefully this should have sorted out the bubbles. Well, if it's not perfect, then the vacuum will definitely finish the job. And then, you may remember the first blob that I put on the paper, I sanded it down and it revealed bubbles inside. I put some fresh resin on top to see how it fills the surface, and I can sand it down to see if those bubbles are still visible or if they have been covered properly. This is another pour that I did with the mixture that was sitting and off-gassing, so I can sand this down to see if that helped. And following instructions, off-gassing and all, then using the vacuum bag, I hope it should solve the problem. So let's get to it. I taped up the fretboard, leaving only markers exposed, plus very tiny bit of wood around. I'm going to leave it for now, because what I want to see is how did this behave with when I follow the instructions. So I need to cut it out and then sand it down a bit to see if there are any bubbles inside. So I didn't use anything to make demolding easier, mainly because I haven't got anything like that. I'm not really focused on resin that much, so let's see if it comes out at all. And it did! Perfect! Okay, now I want to sand it flat. And I think I will sand the top surface, because this is how it will be sitting in the bag. And I can start with this. This is 80 grit block, I think. Okay, nearly. Okay, I think I'll leave it like this. So half of it is sanded. I will clamp it to the workbench now and use my sanding beams to sand it with different grades to see if the bubbles are there. Right, so this is 150. Okay, 240. Okay, so sanding it down to 240, and I can see tiny bubbles. Okay. Let's see what happens with the surface where I put a layer of resin just spread on top of those bubbles. Let's see if they're still visible. So it seems like those bubbles are being filled by the top layer that was very thin, and only when I go all the way through, if I go into that thick layer, those bubbles are appearing again. So okay, so this is good. So I think that I have a plan, which is, first of all, preparing the mix following instructions, and I've calculated how much resin roughly I would need, and I came up with 68 milliliters, so to fill all of them with some extra. But what I'm thinking that I should do is prepare the mix, stir it clockwise for 4 minutes, and then leave to set to the air for another 2. Then I will pour it in, but not all the way. So I'll fill most of the cavities, and you can see that when it dries, it, I think, shrinks, because every time I pour it in, it leaves a concave surface, which either means that it's creeping up on the container that I was in, or it just shrinks and it doesn't shrink on the edges. So that's the second thing, not filling them up completely. And the third thing that I can do is the vacuum bag for both, for mixed, freshly mixed and de-airing resin, and then for drying. and I will leave it in the bag for 24 hours, and then when I take it out, we'll see if there are any bubbles on the surface. I can't pop them when this is in the vacuum bag. I can pop them before I put them in, but we'll see. So what I want to do is prepare this contraption by gluing these two together. Well, sticking them with masking tape, I think, together, so that they just open up and they leave that much of volume inside the bag. Last thing I want is the bag collapsing on top of the resin and ruining everything. So let's see. I'll just tape it up together and then I'll just pop it closed, I guess. That should do. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. I don't think I have to do anything on this side. What I'm going to do is stick this on with masking tape and super glue, so that there is no chance for it to move inside the vacuum bag when I move it around. And I will probably just set it on the side. Not too much, I need to be able to take it out in one piece, preferably. Let's try how this will work with the vacuum bag. So when I pour the resin into the fretboard, I will slide it into the bag. I will close the bag. So the proper vacuum bag kit lets you cut the bag and reseal it. I didn't want to try that because if I can't reseal it, I've lost the bag. So I don't mind it being that big. But let's see how it works with the vacuum. Okay, so couple of things. I think I'm gonna have to put something against the valve so that it doesn't get stuck on the bottom of the bag. And the other thing is the bag actually wants to go into the contraption quite a bit. And that worries me a bit, because if it touches the resin, it's not going to be pretty. So I may need to block it off somehow, and it can be a piece of wood, to be honest. Okay, so I think I found a solution to both problems, to the problem of bag getting into this contraption and I will simply use 2 pieces of MDF. I'm going to sand them a bit so that they're not sharp, because they can tear the bag. That wouldn't be good. But the other problem I had was how to put a cup with mixed resin into a vacuum bag. And I'm going to use this Tupperware container, but when I tried it with a vacuum bag, the bag was just getting in there. So I found a solution how to stop it from happening. And when I tested it, it worked fine. So this should be all good. And the solution is 2 lids of the big container boxes, plastic lids, which keep the bag flat. And when I put the Tupperware inside, there's no way for the bag to actually go in there. And that worked well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the resin, following instruction of mixing it clockwise, of course, for 4 minutes. Then I'll let it sit in the vacuum for 2 minutes to de-air, and then we'll see what it looks like. And I'm going to prepare the correct amount straight away to pour it in. And if I'm happy with what it looks like, I'm going to do the pour. This is 0. This cup is 260 ml, 230 ml. I need around 70 milliliters of resin. So if I go a quarter of it with part A and measure the same weight of part B, if I don't reach half of the cup, it will still be fine. I need like 1/3 of it. So right, let's do it. Part A, gloves. Part A. Let's see how much a quarter of a cup is. 40 grams of each part means that I need 80 drops of the ink, which will be fun. Part B to 82 grams. Okay. Now this is stupid, this just turned off on me. It was 52, so I need another 28. Now 80 drops of the ink. You know what? I've just wasted a whole lot of resin and some ink. I should have mixed it first before I added the ink, so yeah. Let's do it again. This one stays here. That's a waste. Unbelievable. Anyways, maybe I can measure it correctly now. So the scale is turning off after a while of not doing anything, which is very unhelpful. Well, it's not made for this purpose, so yeah, I don't blame it. It's my fault. But let's measure it part by part. So I'm going to measure 40 grams of first part, then switch it off, switch it on again, measure 40 grams of the second part, and that way we'll have a correct measurement. So that's 40 grams of part A. There you go. Perfect. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is well mixed. Let's do the ink now. And that's going to be 80 drops. Okay. That's 80 drops of the ink in the resin and just as much on the table. Now let's mix it. Wow. Almost 4 minutes. There's a ton of bubbles here, but we'll see. Okay, now to leave it to the air in the vacuum bag. Right, let's see what happens. I put it at the back because the one test that I did, when I put it here at the front, it just opened the bag when the pressure dropped inside. So I want to avoid that by moving it further away from the opening. Okay, I want to be able to see inside the cup. Let's do it. Seems like there are a lot of bubbles forming inside. It's going to take 2 minutes to de-air in the bag, and then I can take it out, pop those bubbles, and then pour it into the fretboard. Two minutes. So it seems like I used my favorite trick and didn't record anything that I was doing. Perfect. But what I did was I took the resin and I poured it into markers, leaving them a little bit off the surface, so lower than the surface. I popped the bubbles with a blowtorch, placed it all in this contraption, and put it in the bag. It turns out that this bag that I used first did not hold the pressure, so I got another bag twice as big. I put everything inside. I opened the first one first, and then popped it inside, and then took the air out the second one. It seems to be holding, but I will be checking up on it every now and then, and we'll see what happens. The footage that I recorded that I'm missing was not very interesting. It was me pouring resin, and because I only have so much time to do that, I didn't do any close-ups or anything. I wanted to just pour it in, stick it in the bag, pump the air out, and be done with it. There's only, I think, 15-minute work time on this resin. I didn't want to mess it up. One thing that I did though, I took a brush and I brushed the resin into each marker so that it sits absolutely everywhere, so that I'm not creating a layer of air in the marker. So I brushed it all around, popped the bubbles off this brushed resin, and poured the new batch, which was sitting in the vacuum for 2 minutes. And then I popped the bubbles few times off the markers. So we'll see. I'm hopeful. If that doesn't work as intended, I can fix the bubbles by brushing resin on top of them, and by the tests that I've done, this is working well. So hopefully I can get rid of those bubbles even after it's all cured. We'll see. I will be pouring another batch on top of the existing markers, because they're not with the surface, not level with the surface, but lower. And this is to allow me to pour very thin layer so that the bubbles can't physically fit in there and they have to burst. So we'll see tomorrow. I'll leave it, and as I said, I'll come back every now and then just to pump some air out of it. Okay, so it is the next day, and it's time to see what came out of it. The bag didn't hold the pressure. Okay. Yeah. Those actually look really nice. So they're all concave except for the very last one, which is just a blob. To be honest, I can see some tiny bubbles on the edges, and nothing besides them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a fresh batch of resin, and I'm going to fill it up. I'm not going to put it in the bag because yeah, I'm not sure if it even did anything. Didn't really want to hold the pressure, and I'm just going to keep popping bubbles. That's going to be very thin layer. As you can see, they're not deep at the moment, and this should help with the bubbles. I'm pleased with the result. The real test will be when I sand it down to see if there are any bubbles. I'm gonna go with a small amount this time because I really don't need much. And what I want to do first is to wipe them off with probably methylated spirits, because I've touched them a couple times and this is just not good. Good thing is that I can always go back and wipe some more epoxy on the surface if while sanding I reveal any more bubbles. I can always fix those just by adding some epoxy, and according to my tests this actually covers them nicely, so yeah, I'm not worried that this might not work. Well, it's too late now anyways, so we're doing it. Got a 15, 16, yeah, that's fine. 17 even. Okay, 34 then, 17, there you go. Perfect. Okay, now I need to mix that. So I'm mixing the two parts before I add was it 1734 drops of the ink. Very bubbly. Okay, 34. 7, 8, 9, 10, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, perfect. Okay, stirring clockwise for 4 minutes. Okay, I'll leave it to off gas. Okay, let's do it. Come on, I don't want to build it up like that, but it's not really spreading. Maybe I should give it a time. Okay, I'll do less on this one. Yeah, that might have been too much. Come on, spread. It seems to be staying as a blob, which is not good. I need to spread it so it covers the entire marker, but also that the layer is thin enough for, oh, come on, for the bubbles to just disappear. Okay, well, I'm gonna need to do this now for quite a while to make sure that these bubbles are popped, because I'm not gonna use the vacuum bag. It's a great idea, but it requires a proper equipment, which I don't have. This is just not it. Okay, I'll be doing this for a while, and I guess I will show you the result later. Okay, so I've been doing this for like half an hour, and this already starts to not do very much anymore, which means that either there are no more bubbles inside, or it just started curing and it's hardened enough not to release those bubbles anymore. But yeah, it's not as spectacular as it was at the start, so I think I'll carry on doing this for another half an hour and then I'll leave it. This epoxy has a 4-hour demold time, so after 4 hours you can take it out of the mold and it should not be flexible, and then it's hardening for up to 10 hours. So yeah, I think I will actually leave it just to be safe and not to break it, because that would mean redoing the fretboard, which I have 2 blanks, so I can go with it, but I'd rather not have to go that route. So thank you for Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here for this. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. Cheers. Love you, bye.